Hello, I guess it's been a good bit. All right, so this is the Ormish workout, cycle 8, part 1, iteration 1. And make it a little bit of change. Last chapter, cycle 7, iteration, or chapter 4, or part 4, iteration all the way through. I was doing this thing where I was breaking up 1 repetition per cycle of breaths, and it was 4-part breaths. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. So there was 2 types of hold: holding empty and holding basically full. So that was that, and this is obviously the beginning of a new cycle. Oh, by the way, it is Tuesday, June 1st, 2021. All right, so that being said, it's just low weight, low reps, but full body, and that's what's going on here. Most important thing, well, most important thing for the video, not the most important thing for me, but public service announcement. Please do not waste your time watching this unless you have a very specific reason to watch this video. Otherwise, it would be a waste of your time, and I would hate to waste your time. So that is done. Nice little public service announcement. So yeah, the adventure week, the last 2 or 3 weeks, well, part of the adventure is too many cheat days. Even yesterday was a cheat day. Today might be a bit of a cheat day as far as diet-wise. Too many complex carbohydrates. Let's see here. So, one thing I've been messing around with in my life is breathing and, conscious breathing exercises. I'm trying to do a lot more breathing through my nose. So hopefully almost all this will be through the nose. I noticed that when I put the weight a little bit higher, it's harder to stick to the cycles, and specifically the cycle of do a repetition on the exhale, starting from an exhale. So before the exercise, I'll do an inhale, and maybe I'll do like a 2-part inhale, like I'm trying to make that extra loud through my nose, everything through the nose, hopefully. Hold it for a little bit, and then start off the exercise with the exhale. Boom, exhale while doing it, that first whole repetition. And then, like for example, something with like squats. I'll give you an example of like an air squat using the method. Either getting into the position for the squat or doing it beforehand. Actually, I'll get a little wider. So this is what I'm trying to figure out, what I'm trying to play with. Do I know that there's anything great to this? No idea. But I'm gonna try it. So here's the squat. Gonna put my hands behind my head. Gonna go down, but I'm gonna inhale first. So like this is not part of the exercise. I'm not gonna count it until I'm down here. But like let's just say, I'll just do 1 or 1 cycle. Kind of screwed that up a little bit. Want to see if I can get that really inherent. But what that should have been is when I was down close to the ground, I should have been exhaling on the first repetition, and then as soon as my butt's near the ground, I'm holding while empty after that exhale for the next repetition. The 3rd repetition, get to that 3rd repetition, when my butt hits the ground, I start inhaling, do that full repetition to the butt to the ground, and then do a 4th repetition where I'm holding full after that inhale. So cycle of 4 type thing, trying to get that really working. It messes with your breath and stuff. It's interesting in some ways. So that's what this week is going to be about, which is just the normal cycle 1 week, or cycle 1, or whatever, how many days. I know yesterday I didn't really do too much physical wise, and I certainly didn't tape anything. One thing I did do for adventure week in cycle 7, part 4, iteration, whatever. I broke up the workouts into, basically a workout like this. I broke it down into a few parts and didn't want to videotape every time I was doing a part, because sometimes a part would just be a couple sets. So in keeping with that. Okay, so what else did I talk about on this? These ideas I'm pushing forth. Just really sad. I miss my buddy. Big kind of hole in my life. You talk to somebody every day. I remember my grandmother felt the same way when my mom died. My mom used to talk to my grandmother every day, or her mom, my grandmother on my mom's side. And now they're both dead. But I remember having a little talk with my grandmother. I don't remember the specifics of it, and maybe it's a false memory, but I think, because I'm thinking like, wow, my language skills are not that good to decipher this complicated set of emotions, but I think, if I remember correctly, and I may not, that my grandmother was talking about missing my mom because they would talk every day for hours. And Red was one of those people. Him and I sometimes, 2-hour conversations, sometimes twice a day, just while doing all of our little stuff. He'd go for driving somewhere, take care of something, and give me a call, and it was just a lot of nothing time. The last conversation we had was about organizing files for his work, and a whole setting up an idea of what I would call a protocol for doing that, doing the extra work right in the beginning to make it better. And it's interesting how that hole falls in. Plus the whole of just the time driving to his place. Sometimes that would take me like an hour, just including the get ready time. And haven't played drums since he's died. The last time I played drums was the day before he died. I'm giving myself to the 10th of this month, so 9 more days. I'm gonna force myself to actually touch the drums. It's like there's been a almost like emotional force field around it or whatever. I get near it and I just don't want to touch it for whatever reason. So grief manifests itself in weird ways. Like I haven't done the whole huge crying thing, and people could say whatever they want around me, and I noticed that they probably noticed that I'm not tearing up, and I feel weird about that. But especially if someone that may not know him that well, I don't know, starts tearing up around me about him and stuff, and then I'm like not mirroring that response, I guess. And then they're kind of looking at me like, wow, you weirdo without emotions. But the emotions are there, trust me. They're real, they're there, they're deep and they're slow. They're thoughtful and pragmatic, hopefully. I've really tried to cultivate that whole idea of not trying to control my emotions, but control my reactions to my emotions. And to a certain degree, that gives my emotions kind of freedom to run wild, because I'm not gonna have a bad reaction to it. It's all internal. And sometimes it breaks through the exterior, but it's not really, it's more becoming the observer. The more I become the observer, almost outside myself a little bit, the emotions really become part of this thing to be deciphered. And that might sound horrible coming out. I hear myself saying that, and I'm like, wow, that sounds horrible coming out, but it really is a quest to understand oneself. And does that serve the memory of Red? I don't know if it does or doesn't. Sometimes I feel like it doesn't. Sometimes I feel like I should be breaking down more often and all that kind of stuff, and be more in tune with other people. But I'm me, and I'm gonna process things in my own way. But yeah, so a few days from now, next Wednesday, I guess it is, I think, I'm gonna force myself to, Wednesday or Thursday, somewhere around there, force myself to actually touch the drums, grab the drums, set them up, and play a little bit. Even if it's just for a few minutes, I'm gonna do it. And who knows, maybe I'll just break down and cry while doing it. And I'm gonna look at that as possibly a good thing, or whatever it is. But I'm not gonna, you know, the limit has been reached. You know, drums is something I did almost every single day, and it's been at least 30 days without it. So something I enjoy. It's something it would be so awesome if I eventually figured out a way to make money, you know, doing something I love. But, and that's another thing, trying to figure out jobs and all this kind of stuff. I was hoping to get a call from somebody about something, but that hasn't materialized yet. And I'm using the word yet. Although I'd have to drive an hour back and forth every day for, you know, work. But that's okay. I think it'd be a job that would be worth it, and I think I could really help out, do some good for the neighborhood, learn a whole bunch of stuff, and be closer to the person I want to be. And also, like I said, take care of my expenses too. I think that the job would do that, and I would have some money to invest, and in a lot of ways that would be a beautiful thing. Okay, wow, this is not the talking portion, this is the workout portion. So I'm gonna shut up and get started with the workout portion, but also gonna remind myself what kind of thing to go through. I'm gonna go through a blank version of this. So we'll go to the blank version of this, because I've already written down ahead of time, but we'll go to the blank worksheet and just kind of go through the ways this thing, and it's been changed a little bit. I don't know if they're permanent changes, but you know, it is what it is. Really? Okay. All right. You know what? I'll just pull it here. There we go. I'm not going to mess around with numbers so much, but here's how it starts. Pull-ups and incline bench. Kind of back and forth. What I'm going to try for today is a cycle of 4. Everything's going to be a minimum of cycle 4 and 4 repetitions, which is 1 breath cycle. 2 breaths would be a cycle of 12, or 2 breaths would be a cycle of 8. Man, I can't think. Let's think. All right, we're thinking. So a cycle of 12 would be 3 breaths. So pull-ups, incline bench. Boom. Then we move and we go into air squats, leg extensions, leg contractions. Then it's chest machine flies, same spot, pull downs, reverse flies. We got the dips and the rocket chair thing, change of venue, curls, skull crushers, and chin ups. The rollers and planks, I'm thinking about including push-ups into there. So rollers, planks, and push-ups. After that thing, another change of scenery for calf raises and heels down, double base type things. And I'm going to do that by breaths. I'm not going to actually count how many I'm doing. I'm just going to do that through the cycle of breaths. Probably do that for like 3 breath cycles. Same thing with grips. I'm not going to count the number. I'm just going to feel it and do 3 breath cycles. Full leg and knee ups. You know, that's something interesting. Then we got military press. And since the push-ups have been moved up in the thing, I'm not going to mess around with that. Just one set of military press. Then change of scenery for the push downs for using my back. And then push downs using my triceps, back and forth. And then there's bent back lifts, single arm, left and right, or right and left, doesn't matter. Then lateral raises and frontal raises, all using a minimum of 4 repetitions, which is kind of weird because I really don't like the chin-ups. I usually only do for this exercise like 1, so that changes. Anyway, enough talking, more doing. I'm gonna switch this up a little bit. I'm gonna do a little bit of loosening up, and I'm gonna zip my lips, loosen up, get certain things done, and not go directly into the pull-ups, but go into the incline bench first. So yeah, there's that. that's it. A little bit out of order. I forgot one part, brought it back near the end. Felt pretty good about bringing back that part. Now I'm gonna do a little bit talking, organizing my thoughts, and maybe a little bit of stretching. Whew. Interesting. Man, just feeling weird about all sorts of things. Good about all sorts of things. Felt like there was a really good mind-body connection, especially doing the pull downs. Yeah, doing those pull downs, sitting down, doing those pull downs. And I felt it even going into well, there's a point where I smiled, and that was on the chest machine. That's when I really started to feel it. And it wasn't like finding my edges. It was stop caring about things that don't matter. Like this thing right here doesn't matter. Missing a workout doesn't matter. Guilt to a certain point doesn't matter. Beating yourself up doesn't matter. You can only care about so many things. And if you care about beating yourself up, and this is just me talking to myself, I don't know if there's an epiphany here or anything like that. It's just, it is what it is. I only have so many things I care about. Do I care about beating myself up or progressing? And I'm sure beating yourself up is useful 20% of the time, but I think I'm just mentally beating myself up too much. I have such a bizarre, twisted standard for who I am. I don't even watch these videos because I look at this video and I see it pops that soap bubble. You're not as strong as you think you are. You challenge some of these things, you're not as good as you think you are. Sure, you put in some work, but maybe you weren't smart about it. Maybe you didn't push hard enough, or maybe you weren't consistent enough. So right now I'm just about stacking little things, making a whole bunch of tiny changes and making that better and see where that gets me. The big change right now is backing off and doing that cycle. I think there's something special there in that cycle. 4 reps per breath cycle. 4 repetitions per breath cycle. And just think about number of breaths. Don't think about number of reps. It changes the dynamic in some interesting way. I kind of like that. I'm feeling it, even though I'm lifting a lot less, but I feel it a bit more. And also, not being afraid to change it up, and maybe even having a reason to watch these videos. Like, what I write down is the script. That's how many numbers it's kind of a guideline. But feel free to stop, skip, change the routine. That balance of structure and freedom. Here's the template. But within that template, do what you want. Sometimes even go outside that template. Like those walking breaths on the Gazelle machine, that's not in the template. Nor is the double bass type thing where I actually raise my heels. That's not in the template. But it feels like it should be part of it. But I'm not gonna even write it down in the template, because the template's just a suggestion. If I wanna add in all the exact notes of exactly what I did, I think I'll use blue ink and I'll go back over it and write notes. But that's not so important. It's like, as soon as I say that, it's like, oh, you're gonna have to do it every time. No, just try to show up and do. And if you wanna get more out of it, watch the video, take notes, figure out where you're good and bad, know where your limits are if you ever have to really, really know where your edges are. That's a good tool. I could find my edges just with the math on that. skip a set, add a set, you can only have so many priorities. And I think to function in this context, it's best to have one priority. And it's almost freeing to set up my one priority as consistency as far as trying to do this regularly. But right behind that, next priority is breath. 4 repetitions per breath cycle. And the breath cycle is inhale, hold, full, exhale, hold, empty. And almost like inhale and exhale, and then there's hold full and hold empty. So it breaks it down into 2 pieces, but each of those 2 pieces have 2 more pieces. So it breaks down inhale, hold full, exhale, hold empty. And that feels pretty good. Or from your left to right, exhale, hold empty, inhale, hold full. That feels good. There's something there, I think. Not sure, but it feels like it. I think this is the path I'm going to go down. I don't think I'm going to get huge. I might never get rid of the gut, but I think there's something there. I think the gut is mostly just about complex carbohydrates. Too many darn cookies, too much pie, too many waffles. All these things I like. But the 1% solution that's been going good is always have at least broccoli or some sort of vegetable available. And sometimes when I'm really hungry or just barely hungry and want some excuse to eat, heat up the broccoli first. Don't really like broccoli, but I hate it without sauce, but the sauce, the pepper, putting it on there, definitely like it with pepper. Nice black pepper, ground real fine. Good stuff. Started talking at the beginning of this video. Should have left it towards the end, but that's another thing I'm gonna basically get rid of, is a lot of the should-haves. Have this idea to kind of help out others. Red and I were in a band. The band was called Bang Couch. Red is gone, and I wish, maybe for selfish reasons, I don't know, that there was really good recordings of us playing. Really high quality recordings, but not really. They're not really out there. The highest quality stuff is stuff where we made some mistakes I didn't like. And he didn't like either, so. Got some okay recordings. Really wish we had a good recording of that, but who knew? And that who knew question is really making me want to, maybe in honor of Red or in honor of my own grief or something. I don't even know what it is, but I have this idea, call up some people that host open mics and just say, hey, do you mind if I bring a high quality camera and record stuff just in case anybody wants good video of their stuff? And I already have a YouTube channel that's set up. It's called Your Video Stuff, and I can put it up on there and they can watch themselves. And if they want a copy of the video, I can figure out a way to get it to them, or they can download it or whatever, make it available for whoever's on stage. And of course, allow people that do not want to be recorded to not be recorded. And just kind of quick ask, hey, you guys want me to videotape you? You get non-famous on YouTube, or set it to private for people that want private, and set it up in hopefully a way where they can download it or something. Give them, I don't know if there's an easy way to send video via YouTube and just be like, oh, this person can download it, you know, that kind of thing. I think it means I have to give them sort of like administrative privileges, and I've tried that before with Red, and that was a whole headache. So we tried it for like an hour, and for something was going goofy with his computer, and he had a Windows computer, so it should have been easier for it, but you know, in theory and in execution, things are different. But we'll figure out a way. Even if I have to meet up with the person and put it on a USB drive or something, we can make it happen. Man, I miss him. A little slow on my grief equation there. I got caught up in just thinking about missing him, and I forgot, or maybe for whatever reason, I didn't go right to the good memories. Good memories with Red. Lots of weird jokes, silly jokes about stuff, about frame of mind on stuff, about him trying to kind of get my goat. Remember one time I got this kava tea or something like that, and he thought I'd never had it, and he's like, I don't know if you're going to be okay with this. You don't do any drugs, you don't drink or anything. It might affect you funny. So I didn't. Eventually, I told him I've had that kind of stuff before, and as far as I know, it didn't affect me. But I said to him, "All right, man, something like if I start freaking out or anything weird, just keep a good eye on me. Let me know." And then, as a joke, he tried to convince me I was freaking out. Like a day or two afterwards, he's like, "Man, after that kava, I didn't know what to say. I mean, you weren't dangerous or anything, but man, you were kind of freaking out." I was like, "I don't remember it like that." And he was like, "Of course you don't. You were damn near blackout. You did these weird things, and then like you'd go back to driving like everything was normal. It was like there was holes in your memory." And I won't tell you how close I was to almost believing him. And he's just like, "I'm just messing with you." And those weren't his exact words, but it was just like, I'm like, "Dude, next time videotape it, please." As soon as I got to that point, you know, he thought he got me, and in a certain way, there was a part of me that was like, humor him, but at the same time, there was a part of it like, you know, there was maybe a 30% of me was like, okay, well, it is a possibility. I will acknowledge this possibility, but before I believe it, let's put proof to it. So we'll do it again. And I'll purposely have, you know, the same amount of whatever it was, kava or something, and you know, do it. And one thing he used to do is he wanted me to have a sip of his beer. He was like, "Try this beer, taste this beer." And I think he secretly always hoped I would be like, "Oh, this is amazing, I want one." Obviously, I never did that, but he was really happy that even though I don't drink, I was still not a prude enough not to take a sip of his beer. And I always felt bizarrely happy when I got a sip of his beer, and I never took more than a sip. What do you think of it? And I'm just like, tastes like beer. And truth is, my palate is not sophisticated enough to tell all the little cool differences between beers and stuff. So I always pretty much just tasted like beer to me. And sometimes it tasted like burnt beer, like burned, you know, like some charcoal was in it or something, I don't know. But he was a super taster. He was very particular about his food. Apparently he found out he was a super taster because in school there was this thing, they had like some science teacher or something. I don't remember the exact scenario, but like he told me this story, and the story was like they had everybody taste this piece of paper, and then like another piece of paper. Like they had these pieces of paper, I guess, I imagine they were plastic wrapped, and you opened them up, and anybody who could taste the difference on the piece of paper or something, or maybe it was two pieces of paper, I don't know, but somehow he was the only one in his class, and that was the designation of a super taster, someone that could taste very specific things that other people are just ambivalent to, or don't even know is there. So that was something. Man had a lot of talents that probably nobody knows about, maybe not even him. And yeah, back to the idea about at least he's not in pain. His skin gave him pain sometimes. His bones gave him pain sometimes. And then his brain
gave him emotional pain sometimes. Sometimes he seemed like he felt too much. And I guess it's a balanced equation. For a little while, I tried doing breathing exercises with him. I wanted to do the cycle, a 10-week cycle. And he lasted 2 weeks. I lasted about 6, so I didn't even get through it. And I remember messaging him, texting him. I was like, dude, I need you to help me get through this, man. If you and I do this together, I got a feeling like I'll be able to go through the whole 10 weeks, you know, back to back. And yeah, I was twisting his arm to it. I was trying to use whatever leverage I had as a friend, and for a good reason. It's like if you want somebody to do something, you know, this is the excuse and justification. I thought it would help him a lot, and I thought it would help me a lot. I thought it would be a super win-win situation if we went through that whole 10 weeks together, doing these breathing exercises. But by the end of the first week, I was a little bit jealous of him, and I admitted it, and I kind of put that jealousy through my jealousy matrix, and it ended up with just being gratitude, you know. Bing, 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 bing. It ends up being like, thank goodness I know somebody that can get so much value of this. Thank goodness I have somebody I'm close to that's winning at life at that level. And that takes away from the jealousy, because which would you rather have? Your friend, your buddy hurting, or your friend and your buddy doing great? Whether you're doing great or doing terrible or whatever. Or would you rather have, you got 2 choices. Let's make it binary. Your buddy's doing great, or somebody you don't know that might be a jerk is doing great, you know? But yeah, he did great with the breathing exercises. He told me he was like hearing colors and seeing sounds and feeling amazing, and almost like astral projection type things or whatever he was going on about. And I was like, whoa, like I didn't even want to hear it. It was so magnificent. I'm like, I just kind of feel a tingly feeling sometimes. But, you know, within half a second, I went through my jealousy matrix, and I was like, dude, he's getting so much out of this. And then the selfish matrix was like, dude, you're getting so much out of this, man. I really hope you stick, because I wanted to complete it. This is before he ducked out on the 2nd week, but like, I guess just alcohol was better. And at that time he was drinking. He went through more times of his life when he was drinking during the course where I knew him than he wasn't. And he, you know, the first time we hung out and had an actual practice, like a full multi-hour practice, he gave me aware of that fact. You know, I know what you're getting into. You're getting into a band with somebody who's chemically dependent. And that's what he kind of let me know about that. He let me know about his various dependencies. And his dependency was alcohol. I mean, it was plain and simple. It was kind of cool. I remember him talking about different drugs. And I remember one time we were hanging out, and this girl came up to us. So I think this was a total scam. Insert like a drug dealer type, you know, a drug dealer walks up to you and be like, hey, you guys want to try this? No. This attractive woman comes up to us, and I think that's Mosquito. How did the Mosquito get in here? Well, probably through the door. Sometimes I leave the door open for too long. Well, anyway. I always wanted to do that thing, like get a mosquito to land on your muscle or whatever, and then, like, you know, flex it, and supposedly the mosquito pops, because it has this, like, your muscles tighten, and it causes the nozzle to stick in, and it can't pull it out, and so it only has like one speed of just like suck the blood, and eventually it just boop, you know. I don't know if that's a real thing. It's kind of the opposite of a country urban legend, a country legend, I guess. I don't know. Anyhow, so I'm trying to remember where I was before the mosquito tail. I thought it was going to be interesting. Whatever I was saying, I was like, it was going to be interesting. Rewind, you know, figure out what it is. No, I'm not going to go there. But maybe it was breathing exercises. I know I was getting huge into red and breathing exercises, and Chemically dependent. Oh yeah, that really nice woman with I think she had green suspenders on, and like this kind of scam was, you know, her friend came up to us afterwards. So like it's really easy if you see two guys just walking somewhere and an attractive woman comes up to them, and hey, you know, it's really easy for them to be like not blow her off. And then what happens, that's an opening for her friend, her dude that is you know, selling the drugs or whatever. And it's just like, hey man, you guys want to hit? And me was just like, no thank you. And Red was like, yeah, of course, you know, why not? He's not driving or anything. So he takes a hit, and the guy was like, well, just to let you know, there's a little tobacco with that marijuana. And he was like, oh really? And he told me later, he was like, that wasn't tobacco, that was fucking meth. And I was like, whoa, you know. And it was just like, and he didn't look at it the same way I did it. I looked at it as like, all right, end goal. This guy wants to sell his highly special marijuana tobacco blend, but it's really more addictive than that because it's marijuana meth blend or something like that. And maybe it wasn't meth, maybe it was MDMA or something, I don't know. But it was something that was like, whoa, you know, or supposedly a whoa factor, but Red wasn't into the whoa factor. It was just like, he coughed right afterwards, and he was like, there's something different about that tobacco or something. And he's like, you sure that's tobacco? Doesn't taste like it. And yeah, Red liked to smoke, and you know, as a matter of fact, cleaning out my car recently, well, maybe a couple days after I found out about Red, found a Taco Bell bag that him and I used as used as a garbage bag, and I found a pack of cigarettes in there. And you know, for some silly reason, I looked in the pack of cigarettes, and there was 2 cigarettes left in there. So I took the cigarettes out, and I threw the rest of the trash away. And I'm not going to smoke the cigarettes. I don't smoke. But I just I left them next to a rock he gave me. A long time, or months and months ago, he gave me this rock, and he was like, this rock has been through a lot. It's been part of my, you know, a very special spot on my shelf, and so, and I'm giving it to you because it's spent so long with me. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't know what to make of that, but I've had other people give me rocks, and I have this blue one, and this one, Red, is a very plain gray one, but it's a nice curved rectangle, you know. So I'm sure there's ways I can make it connect to him and fit him in some curved rectangle type of way. But so I put the cigarettes near that curved rectangle of a rock. Don't know why. One time I was with him years ago, and one of the first times we're kind of hanging out in between practices. And I think we wanted to do like a double practice or something, like do something over at his house, come over to my house and do something. Stop by Dollar Tree, and I bought this little bell. And I still have the bell by my front door, and it's like, ding, you know, it's a nice little bell. It has a happy face on it. Kind of associate that with one of our first times really hanging out together and shopping. You know, Dollar Tree being the one place like, oh, need a, you know, a 9-volt for this pedal. Let's get another 9-volt just in case, you know. Love those $1 9-volts. Not so sure how long they lasted, but it was nice to get buy a 9-volt battery for $1 instead of like $4 or $5 at some places. So yeah, good stuff. Lots of good stuff. Good memories. But yeah, he looked at that whatever deal, like he believed it was totally honest, like, you know, but I thought it was the female gets the group to engage. All right, engagement. Then the drug dealer comes in. Engagement has already been established, so there's less likely to just be no thank you and to walk away. So like this bond of sharing a joint or whatever, like, hey, you know, here, and then like that's created, and then the sale after that. So I think that was that guy's selling strategy, and she probably got, you know, a piece of the action for it, or she was the drug dealer and using him as the, but anyway, but then again, she wouldn't need him, so, you know, that's the way I looked at it. And they looked distinctly different. So she said he was her work buddy, and they worked together. She was a waitress and he was a cook or something like that. Do I believe that? No, I'm slightly more cynical. I'm just like, that's their operating strategy to sell more drugs. But I'm sure that there's a lot of drug dealers that work at restaurants. I remember this one place I worked at. The dude didn't have a cell phone, so like there was this guy that was a cook, and everybody would call the place, and a manager would answer, and I guess he was probably the manager's hookup. So like the manager had no problem going back and, hey, Mr. Cook, his name was not Mr. Cook or anything like that. I'm not even sure what his name was. He had some interesting nickname or something, like a rap nickname. But anyway, so they would just, and maybe he purposely didn't have a cell phone, who knows. Maybe he did have a cell phone and just never gave out the number except for certain things, especially not dealing business, or it makes sense just to have a burner cell phone. I don't know how it worked, but yeah, for whatever reason, always getting phone calls on the company work line, and then like within some time afterwards, there would be a knock on the back door, and someone would be stopping by to say hi. A lot of people stop by to say hi to him, and he'd go out and talk to them for a minute and come back, and honestly, sometimes we had to catch up with his work. I remember one time he was begging for a ride, and I gave him a ride when we were slow, and this is like in the middle of shift, and he's like, oh yeah, we gotta go to this one place, but you can't come in here. And as soon as I hear like, we're going to this person's house, but you can't come in, it's like, oh, this is a drug deal, and yeah, I'm reasonably sure it was. I think at that time, him and the guy he was with had an inside joke about cracking up. Oh, that just makes me crack up. And they would use the phrase crack up a lot. So I think it was, some crack deals. I'm not sure. And that was before I had my policy of like, and it's a really difficult policy to enforce because, people that are good, if you just say the policy is like, please don't bring drugs into my vehicle. I'll drive you around, all that kind of stuff, especially if you give me gas, but please don't bring drugs into my vehicle. And I'm thinking like the true scumbags will not only bring drugs in your vehicle, but be like, no, I don't have any drugs in your vehicle. And then if you ever do get pulled over, they'll just put it under the seat and, hope that nobody searches your car and you don't give consent for anybody to search your car. Oh, man. I'm pretty sure police officers can lie. And if you ask the police officer, like, do I have to give you consent? Well, and the police officer say, well, if you don't give me consent, I can do probable cause, and that'll, I can just make you wait here for an hour or two, or you can give me consent and you can be on your way, that kind of stuff. And I don't know what the truth is and what those laws and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, not knowing the law, kids. And will I look it up? No, I'm not giving too many people too many rides these days, but you never know. Man. Red was cool about that. If we were ever at his place and practicing and stuff, and he wanted to go to the store for something, he would go to the dispensary store or whatever, and out of consideration for me, he's like, oh, you want to ride in the van? And it didn't happen that often, but usually he took care of all that stuff when I wasn't around. But I'm like, well, you don't need to drive, I'll drive. And he's like, no, I'll drive, we're going to the dispensary. Like, he really respected my guideline. I don't know, like I said, I want to get away from rules. I'll go towards guidelines. Guidelines feel a lot better. The other day I had a Coca-Cola, and I have a guideline about limiting my my caffeine intake. A lot of guidelines, and it feels better with guidelines. I can feel happy about the memories I've had about having some pizza and some Coca-Cola. That was something from childhood, and it's nice to revisit those memories. But it's also a good idea not to live there. And that taste of what that's like, especially if it's with like a, just like a cheese pizza, just cheese and tomato sauce, which is not my favorite pizza by any stretch of the imagination, but that in combination with Coca-Cola brings back special memories of, you know, family. Strangely enough. Well, the good news is there's lots of ways to get that memory. So I am very lucky in that way. I don't need pizza and soda for it. And it wasn't just Coca-Cola. Sometimes it was Pepsi, and sometimes it was Sprite or something, you know. Friends that have passed, family that have passed. Even though there's pain, this pain's not going to last. Beautiful and useful in all the right way. It's in your heart because today is today. Let all things be mighty inside of your mind. The past may be dead and buried, but it's never left behind. I don't understand poetry, but I try. I like making it up on the fly. Maybe I'll make a poem about what is your really real name? It is my belief that your real name and your most used name are not one and the same. Your real name is never known until you've left and come back again. It's as long as your deepest sorrow and as expressive as your greatest joy. You might find it out tomorrow. And play with it like a toy. Truth is, no one knows our real name until it's all said and done. This is what we're looking for. To go back to what we've become. To go back from what we have become. Definitely like that the idea about, is this your real name? They ask me just the same. I have an answer for that, but it is quite lame. It's as deep and as long as your deepest sorrow. It is as expressive as your greatest joy. You might find out your real name tomorrow, but it should not be played with like a toy. Switching up the context but using the same rhyming words. And that's kind of freaky. Like, I like the idea of freaky in the right way. Just like, if somebody asks you a question, just respond with poetry. I'm gonna start doing that more often. Especially since I don't know about poetry. And I think poetry is like jazz, just whatever it is. You know, it's like, that's jazz. You know, it's not good jazz, but it's jazz, you know. It is what it is and whatever you want it to be. The lines are loose, so everything can be. It's all jazz. A friend of mine said he watched one of these videos. I'm reasonably sure he didn't watch it all the way through. And actually, I'm kind of glad about that. I'm glad I keep this talking section till the end. If anybody ever talks about these videos, I'm just like, yeah, I've learned my lesson, you know. No talking for these videos. No talking for the workout videos. And that's true to a certain extent. And then they might point out, well, you talked a lot near the end. Oh, okay. You actually got that far. I have an album that's called One Hell of a Lead Singer. Onifrex, One Hell of a Lead Singer. And it's kind of a catch in the way that, like, I ask people if I give them the album, just like, hey man, what did you think of the singing on that album I gave you, One Hell of a Lead Singer? And they'll be like, dude, it was great. Sadly, I don't tell them this. I probably should. But I was just like, well, you know, on that album, there is no actual singing. And there's no samples. There's nothing that really sounds like a human voice. I didn't even put like synth choral noises in there, you know, no human voice. So there's no chance, or very minimal chance, that they listen to it all the way through. Misread. But at least I have the time to talk to you forever. And I really hope there's an afterlife, and really hope Red knows all and is part of the everything, but still himself. Not taken into the everything and dehumanized, but still truly himself, but more of himself. Just himself to the 12th degree, the nth degree, the 99th degree. Whatever degree of himself that he wants to be. Turned up the volume of himself to 11. And feeling great about that. Got him to do stand-up comedy twice. He had a really good joke. One of the first times we hung out, he told me about this joke. And the joke got him some comedy tickets on a radio show. He called up some radio show and told the joke and got some comedy tickets. And it's a wonderful joke. And if you've heard the original joke that's based upon, it's a joke based upon a joke. And I remember I fell for it. And I was like, oh, it's a marshmallow. You know, it's like, the joke it's based upon is, one day I was dreaming I was eating a giant marshmallow. Then I woke up and half my pillow was gone. That's the original joke. So he tells me the joke is like, one day I dreamed I was eating a giant marshmallow. And I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, I know this one. You woke up and half your pillow was gone. That's a lame joke. And he's like, no, not quite. I woke up and my girlfriend was raped and murdered. And I was like, not again. And, you know, I'm not telling it the right way. He told it with the perfect timing. And yeah, it's a sick, twisted joke. But it was just, he told it in such a way. I can't, me hearing myself tell it now is just, that's in such poor taste. But he knew the context and how to tell it. And there's something about laughing at horrible things. Like, horrible things don't hurt as much when you can laugh at them, I think. It's part of the healing process. I mean, I can't really laugh about Red being dead, but I can't even laugh about that rhyme. But I can laugh about, he would have laughed about some stuff. He would have laughed about some memories that have been banged around between his friends. He would have laughed about, hey, you know, this one band created a song that he called them up and left a voicemail. Unfortunately, it makes me feel sad because I think alcohol was partially responsible for his death, but that's all my own peccadillos. That's my own prejudices, so I gotta kind of measure that against my own prejudices. But yeah, it sounded like he was drunk on that phone call. He left him a voicemail, and he told him, like, hey, do a song like this. Why haven't you guys written this song already? You know, and that's the beginning of the song. They put it in the song. They put the voicemail in the song. Real cool guys. It was nice of them. And that song should make me feel happier than it does. Just, it makes me feel Sad for so many things lost. There's that mosquito. Well, at least it didn't try to land on my eyeball or anything. I miss you, buddy. Whew. But mosquito, don't confuse my kindness for weakness. You mosquito, you go and you bite me, I will kill you. It sucks that you were trapped in this room, or this house, or this space. There was one time we were going to go play out, and I was going to turn into the bar that we were going to go play at, and I was in this middle lane, this turning lane, and this vehicle just comes in from his lane and face towards us, just goes right into the middle lane, and I see what's going to happen, and it's speeding up, and it's going to go head on into us, so I just floor it sideways and just like, you know, go around it. And it came real close to it, and he's not looking at it. He's looking at something. I can't remember if his phone or something. He's like, what? I'm like, dude, we just almost died. And I think if that guy would have gone head on into us, yeah, it would have been real bad. I don't know what was up with that. I say guy. Could have been guy, girl, whatever. Don't know what was up with the person controlling that vehicle. It's just like, I think about that moment, it's just like, wow, we could have died. That car was going so fast. And by the time I realized, like, this guy is probably not going to go with brakes, it's just going faster, like, you know, get around. And it was weird because I didn't even have time to look if someone was to my right. Like, it was just, whoa. And, you know, thank goodness it was kind of late and no one was to my right, but damn, could have been bad all the way around. Just one of those things, it's like, no way, you know. Even scarier because you have to go forward to go to the right. What I'm done doing is I'm done asking myself, hey Red, why'd you do it? I'm not gonna indulge in that question. Because number one, I'll never find out the answer. A lot of things in life you just kind of have to get comfortable just never knowing the answer and not letting it waste space on my mind. And number two, even if I figure out a way to figure out exactly why, it doesn't bring it back. So yeah, why is a path that doesn't seem to yield much benefit other than some bizarre peace of mind. But there's better ways to get peace of mind. Maybe one of the better ways to get peace of mind is doing that project, doing that idea, helping other people out, being able to videotape. So yeah, I'm gonna get psyched on that. I'm gonna make a few phone calls, even right now if I have to leave messages and stuff. Yeah, it's probably not the best time to call certain people, but I'll make those calls right now because I've been putting this off for a little while. I've been feeling this for a good bit, so time to do the right thing. And even if all the hosts say, no, I don't think that's a very good idea, I think that's lame. You know what? I'm prepared for that. I'm not going to worry too much about that. All right. Here we go. Well, it's been good. Later it shall be.